Hello, I'm Angus here at the Bureau of Meteorology. Today is Friday the 9th of January. This is a severe weather update about the tropical low pressure system which is northeast of Queensland, and throughout the weekend it will move on to Queensland, bringing widespread heavy rain, the potential for flooding and some damaging wind gusts. The latest updates from this morning show us that there is now an increased likelihood that this weather system will become a tropical cyclone before reaching the coastline. Let's start with the current conditions, showing us this tropical low pressure area is northeast of Cairns by a couple of 100 kilometres, and in the coming 24 hours through the remainder of the day Friday and the first half of the day Saturday, this system will gradually approach mainland Queensland. It will move almost due southwards through the night tonight, and during that time really expect to see rain starting to build across this stretch of coastline here, especially between Cairns and Mackay. Persistent and heavy falls could well set in, especially on Saturday morning. This map comes to a pause at 6 p.m. on Saturday, and it's likely that at that time we'll still be dealing with a tropical low pressure area. On Saturday evening, however, there is now a high risk of tropical cyclone development, meaning this low pressure area could become a Category 1 tropical cyclone through the last few hours of the day on Saturday. Some stage overnight, either very late on Saturday evening or through the early hours of Sunday morning, it's likely this weather system will cross the coast somewhere between Townsville and Ingham. At that point, it will revert back to a tropical low pressure area. So we may only have a tropical cyclone for a fairly short window of time, perhaps 6 or 12 hours, as this weather system does make its final approach to the coast. But given that we do have the potential for tropical cyclone development and we've got some widespread severe weather coming in, there are a number of warnings which have been issued, so let me take you through those now. We'll start off with the severe weather warning. This is covering a really broad area for the onset of severe weather. Some parts, perhaps around the Cairns to Cardwell coast, we could start to see heavy falls building on Friday afternoon or evening. Most areas here will start to see the more significant wet weather coming in on Saturday morning. The warning extends from north of Cooktown down to Mackay, and in this region we could see 6 hourly rainfall totals of 90 to 170 millimetres. We could see 24-hour rainfall totals over 250 millimetres, some places up to 350. That is a whole lot of wet weather, and as we'll see, that can certainly contribute to flooding. We will also likely see some damaging wind gusts, especially for exposed coastal locations, up to 90 kilometres an hour. With the high chance of tropical cyclone development now in play, we have also issued a tropical cyclone warning for a slightly smaller area within the broader region of severe weather expectations. If you've seen this warning on our website, you may notice it is called a flash tropical cyclone warning. What that means is this was the first tropical cyclone warning issued for this weather event, and this already includes the warning area, telling us that these weather impacts are likely to start within the next 24 hours. That's here in the darker orange colouring here from Port Douglas down to Cardwell. We expect to see the gale force winds that we would associate with a tropical cyclone develop there through the first part of the day on Saturday morning. The watch area, which is the more pale yellow colour from Cardwell down to Hamilton Island, that's where we could see those gale force winds begin in the 24 to 48 hour window. So likely to be the second half of Saturday or late Saturday night and early on Sunday morning. Let's see what happens through the second half of the weekend, because the story is going to progress into Sunday, and we're actually going to see a bit of a departure from this tropical low being the key area of focus. So the tropical low area is going to stay up over central Queensland and gradually move inland, but most of the rain is going to separate from the low and start to affect areas through the central coast, the Capricornia, the Central Highlands, and potentially all the way down to southeast Queensland over Sunday and Monday. What this means is we've got multiple days of wet weather in a row across eastern Queensland, and the multi-day rainfall totals do become very significant if you get several wet days in a row. Here's an idea of how much rain could fall in total between Friday and Monday. So we're really looking out over several days in a row here. The heaviest falls are likely to be near the initial crossing point, up in that Cairns to Mackay stretch of coast, where we could see anywhere from 250 to 500 millimetres over the course of a couple of days. We will still see some very significant falls south of that, from Mackay down to Gladstone, potentially in the 150 to 300 millimetre range. Significant falls will not just be restricted to the coast. Heavy rain will also push inland, and we see the risk of 100 to 250 millimetres of rain over the central highlands of Queensland, up over those inland areas. There is also going to be some rain down in the southeast, the Wide Bay, Burnett region and southeast Queensland. At the moment, that looks like it will get less rainfall than most or all of these other areas, and there's quite a bit of uncertainty as to how much rain exactly could fall here. Most of the rain down here will be on Monday and potentially even on Tuesday, so definitely stay up to date with your forecast if you live in Brisbane or anywhere across the southeast. 20 to 100 millimetres of rain is possible. That's a really wide range, and we'll be hoping to really hone in and lock in on those forecast numbers over the course of the weekend. There is some flooding ongoing across Queensland, so further rain will be falling onto a wet landscape. Over central Queensland, major flooding along the Flinders River does continue, but we're not anticipating too much rain with this upcoming weather event. The more significant flooding could occur across the northeast tropical coast, and we have gone ahead and issued some major flood warnings for the Herbert River, the Horton River, Major Creek near Townsville as well, and there is a moderate flood warning in place for the Tully River too. But given how much rain is still to come, we absolutely could see other rivers anywhere along this northern coastline between Cairns and Rockhampton see some flooding in the coming few days. Finally, before we finish, just a quick recap on some of the major weather impacts. Flooding with all the rain coming in is a very significant impact that provides a threat to property and life if the flooding gets bad enough. Widespread road closures and the potential for community isolation. We could see lots of trees down, we could see stranded livestock, and we could see some widespread agricultural impacts due to this weather event. So do stay up to date, do follow any advice from your local emergency management. Thanks for checking in, have a safe weekend.